I need you to fall to your knees sobbing. I need you to pretend, John, that I stabbed you through... I know I do this anyway, pretty frequently, but I need you to pretend like I insulted your favorite anime. Like I do often, actually. And picture yourself as this anonymous viewer, and I want you to cry.
Whoa!
Cry for me, John.
Whoa!
He's not crying.
When did things just become so R18? This sounds like the drama CDs I listen to. What's going on?
Cry for me, baby.
Oh my god. I hope the anonymous emailer is happy with this kink shit that they have transformed the podcast to. きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello everyone and beyond, and welcome to another episode of Annie Chatbox. This is episode 56, and I am your host today, Jonathan Joestar.
Woo!
And joining me today is the ever-lovely Cammy.
Hello!
And the equally lovely Cassie.
Oh, look at you, smooth talker.
Yes.
I just realized that this episode is technically John and his bitches.
It is! That's true. This is John and his bitches. I love it.
That's the now title of the episode, by the way.
Oh my god. I feel like we should all just have gangsta sunglasses photoshopped onto our Discord icons right now.
Oh my god.
Anywho, as usual, you can find us on twitter.com/theanniechatbox. You can email us at anniechatmail@gmail.com, and we'll have more about that later, or in a bit. And you can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud, as well as YouTube. And of course, if you find it within your heart of hearts to throw any money our way, you can always donate to us via Patreon at www.patreon.com/AnnieChatbox.
Damn.
And if you tuned in to the last episode, you will know that there will be an updated Patreon tier called ASMR with ACB coming very soon.
Anywho, so, we kind of haven't been reading out any emails lately, but they have been coming in, so we've got a bit of a backlog of emails to get through.
At least 6, not totally all from the same person or anything. Not that we would know, they're all anonymously signed, with no email addresses for us to backtrack to at all.
Just lots of Annans.
So many Annas.
Lots and lots of Annans.
So I believe the first email we're reading now is going to be read out by Cammy?
I do believe so. So this is a very interesting one.
And we're doing reverse chronological order also. So we're doing the newest email to the oldest.
Yes. And we will, if needed, provide context. Like in this following one, I will provide some context. So this one that I'm going to read out is titled A Brief Commentary. And it says, "Here you go, kids. I didn't want to type this shit out, but I made live comments. Signed, anonymous viewer." So it was accompanied with an image, and it is handwritten, and it says, "Live notes for harassment over episode 54." So this was an episode where we talked about Japanese food and did a review of Cassie's host choice, Princess Tutu. The first note says, "Wonder what sort of sad loser would keep writing to a weeb cast." The second note says, "John has no self-preservation and will die young like a fool." Okay. Oh no, what is this one? 3 says, you kids are gonna get murdered when you become internet famous, and tell people where your favorite hangout spots are. Oh.
Okay.
So we're gonna get murdered at Maki Sushi? Okay. The next
Clever.
one.
Saying it in reverse.
Please talk about Precure more. Also, I hear your friend Suki is kawaii and wonderful, and Craigie needs to watch more Precure with her. And followed up, Hibachi is godly, heart, 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 heart. And
Alternated coloring hearts.
yeah, lots of detail put into this, and very nice handwriting, I must say. Craig mentioned Hugto, and Cammy, please watch it, which I do plan to. It sounds pretty good. Shout out to Craig for not knowing what
Public domain is.
Public domain. Okay, yeah, I don't know why I was reading that as puck. Public domain. Shout out to Craig for not knowing what public domain is. Cammy's tutu headcanon is the only ending I'll accept. Yes, snaps to that. Hearts, all caps, and then beautiful alternately colored exclamation points punctuated by hearts, says Zura! And my favorite...
Ta-da!
Yes, right? My favorite dub outtake is, she appeared and touched me. The same place where I touch you? That bitch. And that was a great one. I do remember that. And the last note being, quack!
Quack!
Love Anon viewer, parentheses, definitely not Suki.
I
Seems a little
wonder who that one came from.
Seems to be a little bit suspicious if you ask me.
Yeah, especially the heart punctuating Suki's eye. Mm-hmm.
Who signs their who dots their eyes with hearts anymore?
Maybe the same sort of sad loser that would keep writing to a weebcast.
Probably. Also, side note, I used to actually dot all my eyes with hearts when I was in middle school.
That's so cute. I
Aw.
appreciate that.
And then I was told by a teacher that it was unprofessional, and I got really, really self-conscious about it. I also retaught myself how to write my A's. So now I have very fancy A's now.
Ooh.
Lowercase A's, to be specific. But I taught myself to write that way, and now I can't make it go away.
I'm really proud of you for that. I have such a newfound appreciation for handwriting and writing letters being a preschool teacher. These kids are like starting to work on their lowercase letters, and I'm just like, oh my god, you made an A! Let's have a freaking party! It's just so satisfying seeing them work so hard on it. So I really appreciate your beautiful A's and all the time you spent put into making them fancy.
Oh. Actually, that's a good question. Is everybody here right-handed?
Yep.
Oh, well, there we go. My little sister's left-handed, which is pretty great.
I think my older brother might be left-handed. Do you know anybody that's ambidextrous?
I
like,
My
do.
nephew is.
Ooh.
I knew. My ex-boyfriend is ambidextrous.
Ah.
My most recent one, who never speaks to me anymore.
I always think that'd just be a cool trait to have, just to say, like, yeah, I'm ambidextrous. It just sounds fancy.
It's just a hard sentence to say. But maybe that's just me being facetious.
I love that word too.
Me
facetious.
too.
Slaying it with the wordplay today.
John, I believe you get to read the next email.
Indeed. So the next email.
The title's pretty great.
Is called "Nice Triangle, Losers."
What?
That's our icon. That's our.
Oh god.
That is our. Speaking of which, we're trying to get that updated. I will probably be writing an artist, and hopefully we'll get that update in the next couple of weeks to a couple of months, depending on how long we take them and how advanced we want it to be. But yeah, in case you didn't know, our emblem, Cammy, is a triangle.
I newly found this. I don't know why the first triangle that came to my mind was the Delta in Yuru Camp. I'm sorry. My mind is, clearly only fixated on the Moe girl shit, not the actual important, pertinent information to our podcast.
Of course. I mean, I can't blame you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather eat a tent than a triangle.
Heck yeah.
I'm really hungry.
Well, and then triangles are like pizza too. Like I just
I'm actually eating rice right now. I apologize, viewers. Mm.
no shame,
Rice.
no shame.
Yes, John.
Anywho, yeah. Nice triangle, losers. Again from Anonymous, since it isn't signed by anyone. But yeah. Great anime choices to cover this week. I'm very impressed with the amount of animated quality in this episode. Makes up for the quality of hosts.
Shit.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Not that you all aren't great, but like the episode's reviews are great and like superior. Sorry. Or SRY rather. Sorry.
Shit.
We got roasted.
Get roasted.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the best like backhanded compliment ever, because it's like, nice review that you guys did, but you suck.
I'm just even more curious because I can't backtrack, and I'm like, what shows is she talking about? And maybe
I believe that would have been.
Let's see. Nice triangle, losers. When did we get that email? Let me see here.
I believe that would be the
March 7th.
Our seasonal picks.
Yeah, that was probably covering seasonal picks, so that might have been our last round of it, I think.
March 7th. So that would have been the beginning of this month. So I think so.
Yeah.
Either that was
because we did that before Princess Tutu, didn't we? Our seasonal picks for not spring. No, it is spring, isn't it?
Yeah, it is spring. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exciting. Riveting. I love how much we're getting roasted. I mean, I needed a heating pad anyway. I've got some really bad like side cramps today, so I'll take it. Bring the heat, anonymous viewer.
Yeah.
And now Cassie gets the next email.
I do. This one is titled More Cammy, which, I can get behind. I can get behind more Cammy in my life. Always. Forever. Please don't leave me.
Anyway. I'll clone myself, send the clone to Maryland, and actually live in your closet.
We get the original?
Of course! That's where I want to be. That's where my heart calls me.
What if the clone kills Get?
That would be a problem. I see what you're doing here. But like the clone could also kill you and Craig and my family and like Jasmine and Sam and everybody. So maybe we have to figure this out.
So are you the one when it comes to those like hard choices where you say you pick the many over the one?
Oh my god, we're not about to do fucking Kitsugu from Fate Zero. Oh no.
You've got your like your like loving boyfriend or a ship full of people.
I mean, this is literally Fate Zero right now, and I'm Kiryu facing the TV. I can't handle this.
You can only choose one.
I can't do this right now.
No. I mean, that's basically what you just did. I mean, I can send my evil clone to live with my boyfriend, or I could send my it's a clone. They're all evil. Or I could send my evil clone back home to murder all of my friends and family.
This is hard. So we will work on a solution. Stay tuned. Note that this is all instigated by Anon viewer. This whole hypothetical conversation and situation has been instigated by the
all she wrote was more Cammy. I haven't even gotten to the body of the freaking email yet.
And she's already they have already just spiraled us into craziness.
They're tearing this podcast apart.
What's in the body there?
So we've got more Cammy. More Cammy and Cass, I mean. The rest of you can be there too, but more Cammy and Cassie. Followed by a gif of Sakura and Tomoyo and Kero from good old Card Captor Sakura Clear Card Arc yelling Banzai after they finished baking a cake. Good episode, by the way. And totally not the anonymous viewer. Suki need to actually catch up on this anime and will be doing so in the near future.
That's going to be awesome.
But also, feel free to review Ore Monogatari. This isn't like a formal request, but I was just thinking today about how it's basically the perfect shoujo anime and how it makes my kokoro doki doki. So, like, just an idea since you both probably have already seen it. I mean, I'm assuming you have, since I'm assuming you have taste. I mean, I could be wrong, though. And it is signed an anonymous viewer, Cammy and Cassie's biggest fan.
Gee, I wonder who that could be. Also, I just realized that this email was sent in response to our Shoujo Treehouse because that was the one where it was just us. Just us girls.
Yes. Yes. Now, excuse me eating my rice, because I totally am. I chose a bad time to eat dinner. But, have you seen Ore Monogatari?
I have, yeah. It's super cute.
Okay, so you're the only one with good taste here. Me and John and Terry are actually working on it. So, what I could probably do is, like, plan with Terry and John so we can finish the anime, and then me and you can review it. And maybe if John really wants, he can put on a wig and try and be a girl. I mean, John, if you want to go full, like, transition and become a part of the girls' club, I'd be okay with that, too.
Yep.
You'd be a very pretty young lady.
And think about how that would be the aftermath after the episode where we reviewed and suggested Horomusko. Like,
oh my god!
Beauty, what beauty and glory! the impact. Yes.
Perfect. 10 out of 10. Perfect.
Yes.
But yeah. No, we'll definitely see what we can do. We need to finish Ore Monogatari, and I've been putting off, like, watching it with Terry and John for the longest time because I've been so busy. So definitely in the future. Probably not, like, the immediate future, but we already have to get to a couple of more requests from viewers. Sengoku Nightblood, and then, what's the one that was requested before, John? The one that you've already seen, the book one?
Oh, Yamitoboshi Tohon no Tabibito.
That one.
That one.
That one that you somehow have all fucking memorized. We need to watch that as well. So we'll have to, after we get those fit into our production schedule, we can look at Ore Monogatari for a Shoujo Treehouse, I think. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah. That'd be real good.
It would be. It's short and sweet.
Following such lovely short and sweet things, if we roll back around, I have another email to read that's titled Disgusted.
All right.
So let's see what this Anon has to say. Disgusted with the highly concentrated levels of weeb in this episode. I mean, I'm proud of you guys for being self-aware, but IDK if I can be friends with such weebs. An Anon that might be our friend. Interesting. I mean, you're probably too critical too, but I can't blame you guys for that. Anime is kind of garbage. And yet I still eat this shit up like the delightful campfire food in Yuru Camp. So good, but realistically very bad for the common folk. And as an official not a weeb, I can assure you that I'm not your target audience. So that sounds like a very, like, well-traversed, retraced steps, like, wrap-around backhanded comment. And it
like,
says,
that should be in the Olympics. Like, that should be in the Olympics under, like, the gymnastics portion.
Yes, exactly. Feeling hyped for more Cammy content, though. I'll love her forever and for always, so please never kick her off the podcast for being such a horrible weeaboo. I mean, she deserves it, but don't do it. And then, there are attached pictures, and it is lovely Lin from Yuru Camp, and she is cooking herself some sort of pasta. She's, like, praying in front of the pot, and it says, time to eat, and then she's eating, and she's smiling, and it's super, super cute. Well, it doesn't seem like Rin was disgusted, and I'm almost starting to wonder if this Anon also isn't as disgusted as they may say.
I mean, she does gobble anime up like delightful campfire food.
Very true. Very true.
I mean, we don't know it's a she either. We shouldn't make that assumption.
Yeah, wow. I need to stop making assumptions that these might all be the same person.
I mean, it's not like I can read and see that they're all coming from the same exact email address.
Nah.
Google Mail doesn't have that option.
What about you, John? Do you have another one to read?
I do have another email to read, and this one I have to read in the most pathetic and needy or upset voice I can manage, apparently, because it's titled, "Please review Pop Tepiku."
Please.
With the body being, please reconsider, please, I need this.
That was so well done.
Again, from another anonymous user. we totally can't read the email address from.
I need you to fall to your knees sobbing. I need you to pretend, John, that I stabbed you through. I know I do this anyway, pretty frequently, but I need you to pretend like I insulted your favorite anime, like I do often, actually. And picture yourself as this anonymous viewer, and I want you to cry.
Whoa!
Cry for me, John.
Whoa!
He's not crying.
When did things just become so R18? This sounds like the drama CDs I listen to. What's going on?
Cry for me, baby.
Oh my god. I hope the anonymous emailer is happy with this kink shit that they have transformed the podcast to.
We're all gonna die. Craig is gonna come back next week and it's just gonna be a body, like a bunch of corpses laying around the production studio.
Rip forever.
And somehow all of the spoiler room chairs are ripped to shreds. As if by rabid dogs. Or John, heartbroken. For the 6,542nd time Cassie has insulted Sword Art Online.
It happens far too often. Like, Cassie slams a show, and I'm just there like, but I like that series.
But Captain Earth.
Hey!
Ooh, I've heard bad things about Captain Earth.
Nobody likes Captain Earth except for John. Even my anime list doesn't like Captain Earth.
Doesn't it have like a 3 on Mal or something? I swear.
I don't know. I'm gonna go look it up.
Oh my
I love
God.
how this went from, like, how it always does, us actually having a genuine conversation to shitting on John. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. You are an integral part of this show.
You really are, though.
And we love you. And
I can be the devil's advocate at times.
Hey, that
Let's see.
makes for spice. That's like the spice of life in our podcast.
oh, it moved up from a 5 to a 6. That's still really bad.
It's not as bad as a 3.
So, what
Well,
I've heard...
there's a difference. Stuff that has 3s on my anime list isn't actually animated. Captain Earth was animated. It even had pretty scenes. It was just really poorly written and had no point.
I'm guessing that the show that you and Craig did for Diamond in the Rough with like the weird shaky chairs, that's probably a 3 on Mal.
No, it wasn't. It was like 1 or 2.
Oh,
It was one of
okay.
the lowest scored things I could find.
And that's why we haven't gone back and done another Diamond in the Rough, I'm guessing.
So
It's like, please,
Yeah,
we can't
that was
go
not
back.
fun.
We can't go back there.
That's
But no, maybe we should pick shows that are close to like a 5 or a 6, because those are the shows
Yeah.
that like are quote unquote bad, but people might find some good in them, like John and Captain
Yeah.
Earth.
I just feel like
That full circle was great.
I should have seen that coming.
Oh my god. If we focus on shows that are like 5 or 6, I'm afraid that like the amount of my resolve that crumbled and my jadedness that came after sitting through Grimoire of Zero, that experience is just going to be every single time. It'll just tear me down as a person.
So we're not on
Destroy my
Diamond in the Rough. That's Craig and John's show.
That's true.
So hi-oh!
We're the ones that are
We're
supposed
free.
to be suffering.
We're free. We
We
got
get
the good shit.
We get
You
to
get
review
talk
pretty
about
things
happy,
like
bubbly girl
Oramonogatari.
I'm excited.
Anyway, we've got another email that we need to read.
Subtitle, or very quick thing. We don't necessarily review shows that are just for girls. They can be loved and adored by males as well, but they primarily are viewed and made in regards to a female audience.
Mhm.
Disclaimer, over. Over and gone. I'm done now.
Nicely done.
Okay, so we actually never responded to her email. We read it and then ranted at John for a little while. So before we go on to the next email, We should probably figure out what we're going to do with Pape Te Pipiku. We could always do a special for it. I think we're all watching it.
Mm.
We could always do like a 30-minute special for it or something. There's not a whole lot to say.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why we dropped it in the first place. But yeah, we can do like special things. So
we can plan something in the future where we can all just have maybe like final thoughts. Not even maybe like a full review, but something where we can come together and just talk about maybe things we liked, things we didn't like, and at least the production value on the show, because it is there's a lot of really cool stuff they do with Pape Te Pipiku. So
yeah, and there's stuff to do with the production that just is in line with the theme of the series.
We could have a big roundtable discussion on the significance of memes centered around and focused through the lens of Pop Team Epic.
Now we can move on to the next email, which is a pretty great one to end off this topic on, because this was our entire topic. Mm-hmm. And this is titled, "You Guys Are Cuties."
Aww.
Also from an anonymous viewer, and it just says, "I love you all."
Oh, I like that Anon. That's a nice Anon.
Mm. Yeah, the other Anon was just so mean.
Yeah, nothing backhanded with this Anon. They're my favorite.
This Anon's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Can this Anon write it in more? I don't know. Like, I love the criticism and sass of the rest, but this Anon might be my favorite.
Yeah, this Anon, if you're out there, I just hope you know that you are loved very much by all of us.
And we love you too. I would take you home to meet my parents.
Ooh, that's stepping it up.
I know, I'm very committed.
I mean,
to this Anon.
To this Anon, who's totally not the same person in every single email.
Nah, not at all.
That'd be crazy.
But yes. Thank you, Anon, for providing us this topic. It went places that I never thought it would go. It went
That's what she said.
Ooh, yikes.
We almost went to a place further than the universe.
Thank you! That was the tie-in I was going to try for. Yes!
I know, I stole it from you. You're welcome.
What can I say except you're welcome?
You're welcome.
What is our podcast coming to?
I mean, this one's basically just kind of a shoot the shit one anyway. We actually have quite a bit of time. I thought this was going to take longer, so I would say if you have anything that you'd like to discuss, or you're not happy with us failing a show, or you just want to talk to us in a very backhanded way, you could directly roast us, or you could be really nice.
Yeah, we read it all eventually.
Yep, even if it's not exactly the week afterwards. And I was going to say, we do love all of our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
We just also love getting emails to read out. Even if it does take us a bit to get to reading them.
It's fun this way. I also feel like I should mention, as a nice little tie-in, we did get a request from Rin a while back to review A Place Further Than the Universe, and we definitely will. I actually just watched the last episode of that today, and I'm extremely emotionally compromised. But she also sent another email that I forgot to put in here, and it was very short. It just said, "Hello, hi everyone, surprise, surprise. So you guys should also watch Osamasu-san Season 2, JK, 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 smiley face." And to that I respond, no.
I love Ren.
I do too. Osamatsu-san was a very interesting show, but I feel like it doesn't fit most of the humor that most of the podcast hosts here enjoy. Mm-hmm. But hey, if anybody here wants to give it a shot and prove me wrong and be like, "Cassie, let's totally sit down and watch Season 2 for our loyal viewer," we definitely can, but I feel like A Place Further Than the Universe, she has more of a shot of us all liking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I ended up watching a couple episodes with Cammy on...
Yeah.
Well, I was going to watch something else, but...
that was fun.
Amazon said no.
Yep.
But it did say yes, okay, to A Place Further Than the Universe, so we watched that instead for a couple episodes, and I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I just need to actually finish watching it now.
John, if I can watch no other episode of A Place Further Than the Universe with you, may I please watch episodes 11 and 12 with your presence?
Yes.
Sure.
That's so funny because the one that, and I mean, to be fair, I don't think 12 was out back then, but like the one episode I really wanted to watch with John was episode 2, just because of like the long, really dramatic, pretty scene in it. And
The running.
and I was like, oh, I just have to watch it with you. And Cassie, now you are subjecting him to something quite different, a different experience.
It's, to be honest, I would be willing to watch most episodes of A Place Further Than the Universe with John. He just needs to tell me when he's watching it. I might even rewatch the whole show. I mean, I just Anyway. Host. What do we do now?
Yes, indeed. So, we are not talking about A Place Further Than the Universe yet, because, again, I haven't watched it. Instead, we are talking about a completely different series called Tsurezure Children.
Yay!
Which nobody I talk to who studies Japanese can tell me what that means.
Yeah.
I haven't got a clue. It's just Tsurezure Children.
I don't know what Tsurezure means. I even asked my boyfriend who's studying Japanese. He doesn't freaking know. We tried to look it up, couldn't figure it out, and there's like a couple other people I know who are learning and speaking Japanese, and they're just like, I have no idea what this freaking means.
And then there's even like the ways that it doesn't really have a like solidified spelling either. Like sometimes it's Tsurezure and sometimes it's Tsurezure. Like that word just doesn't know what it wants to be.
No.
Maybe that's the point, because none of these kids seem to know what they want to be either.
I really like that. I like that interpretation.
Anywho, is by Studio Gokumi, who have also done Yuki Yuna is a Hero, A Channel, and a little bit more recently, Tochi no Miko. More recently as it's currently airing or just finishing up. But yeah. Anywho, the synopsis goes, young love. It takes many unique and fascinating forms that flourish as children begin to mature into adults. From being unable to confess to not knowing what real love actually feels like. Various obstacles can arise when learning about romantic attraction for the first time. But underneath all that, young love is something truly beautiful to behold, leading to brand new experiences for those young and in love. Tsurezure Children depicts various scenarios of young love coming to fruition, along with the struggles and joys that it entails.
Yes.
I actually really like this synopsis better than the original one they had.
Yeah, didn't the original one have something about, like, I swear the original one had something about promising, like, a yandere girl that, like, never showed up.
And we didn't get that character. I'm so sad. I'm pretty sure they're in the manga or something. I want to read the Tsurezure Children manga.
Yes.
But yeah, they promised that there was a girl who, like, baked her blood into chocolate or something.
Yeah, and that actually made me more, like, hesitant to watch the show, but she didn't show up, so there you go. I think the other thing, just to mention for viewers, if you haven't watched it, it is a short form series, so the episodes are 10 to 12 minutes long, I believe.
And it also has a opening. So that cuts down the runtime as well. And it's actually like a full-blown opening, too. So
yeah,
like a minute long. So each episode is roughly, about 10 minutes.
Which is interesting because I've seen short shows, but they usually tend to be like 3-minute or 5-minute. I think this was one of the first ones that was like 10 minutes. And throughout watching it, I like didn't really know how to handle it. Like it wasn't anything that like ruined my experience, but sometimes I'd be like, wait, it's over? Oh man.
Yeah. Just getting into it, and it's, I mean, not that it takes you a bit to enjoy it, but like really getting into it, and then the episode ends. It's just, but I need more.
It's really it's vignettes, and some of them conclude well, but some of them are like vignettes about long-running stories, and so sometimes that was just a little disappointing when it ended, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're not gonna get any like extra plot progression here. It's just like another little bit. But I think it was a very fun, like refreshing short show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, like, in regards to story, it is what it is in the synopsis. Like, that is what the story is. So it's very hard I feel like, for us to talk about that too much, because each couple has their own little quote-on-quote story. You've got, tales of unrequited love, tales of people not knowing how to fucking talk to each other, and then you got people who got it together the first time they were seen together. So it's different couples at different places in their relationships, which I thought was pretty cool, but I feel it's kind of hard for us to really have a huge discussion about.
Yeah. I think
without spoiling.
Oh, yeah. I think the one thing for me is that I would like to say that I really appreciated that it was a multiple couple story. I saw a Mal forum about an upcoming show that I'm watching, and they were like, "Ooh, this looks like it's going to be a multi-couple story," which seems like they're more on the rise. And for me, I have seen a lot more shows with like love triangles and harems, and I really do enjoy the dynamic of having a big cast with multiple couples that have different dynamics and people get together. So that really was a big selling point to me with this show.
I think that that's also something that apparently can be a huge turnoff to people too. Because
that's true.
I have gotten so frustrated. It's kind of like last week when we talked about Princess Tutu, and you get frustrated when people are like, well, I don't like the monster of the week aspect of the first like arc of Princess Tutu. There are people who are like, I don't like that I watched the first few episodes of Tsurezure Children. There's just so many couples to keep up with. If you get past the first couple of episodes, they're mostly just saying, here's all these couples. Now for the next like 6 episodes, we're going to focus on specific couples more than others.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And
it's not like they introduce a new couple every single episode.
Exactly. And I think that can be a little misleading, especially with the first couple episodes. But every single couple has very distinct personalities. And you don't even have to remember their names. You don't have to remember their faces. You just have to remember, oh, they're the comedy duo. Lol. Or, oh, they're the couple that's the, gangster and the student council president. It's not that hard, guys. It's really not that difficult.
And I think and again, it's just different for different people's sake. I guess what I appreciated with that is that, like, if those characters on screen have an entertaining way of delivering comedy or chemistry, then yeah, those details won't really bother me because I'm just enjoying the moments that they have. It actually recently came to my mind while we were talking about it that another show that has a huge cast and like very zany, like varying love lines is also School Rumble. And that was another show where I think back on it. And just for me personally, like it's like, yeah, sometimes they'd have like a side character that you would see in the background for like the entirety of the first season. And then they give this character their episode in the second season, and you find out that they're in love with like another primary character that you see. But like that little bit of perspective, be it just for that moment, is executed well. So I found it enjoyable. So I think that in a very similar way, like, and there were like some shifting love lines, like with characters where you'd see them maybe like somebody, but then somebody likes them in turn in the next one. Like it wasn't always constant, but I kind of like that. I mean, this is teens with hormones here.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. If the comedy portion of Tsurezure Children does not appeal to you, back out, because it's more of the same for every single episode.
That's very, very true.
If cute couples getting into weird situations or being awkward around each other isn't your cup of tea, then that's all this show is. But if you're just kind of turned off by the fact that there's quote-unquote too many characters to keep track of, I promise you, they focus on specific couples. You'll get to know who those couples are. And honestly, I only remember the name of one character. One character. And that's only because she was my favorite.
That was a good choice there. I think the only other thing that I will knock on story for is that I like that this was centered around romance, and it did more than, we confess and we hold hands the end.
Yeah, it explores what happens after that, too.
So good on it for that.
I think the only other thing that I have to say in regards to story is that I'm really upset that some of the storylines didn't get resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of saying that too.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you pick that up, John?
Yeah, because
Without being spoilery, of course.
honestly, I'm actually completely blanking on which characters didn't get the full resolve that they probably deserved, but I definitely remember thinking at the end of it, I was like, but what about that couple and that couple? Can't we get more of them? Please?
Well, for example, I'm totally not going to say who, but the girl you have in your icon on Discord, which we're recording in right now, their storyline never got resolved.
That is true, yeah.
There was also a fight between two characters.
Yep.
That was set up very early on. I know because I'm rewatching this show with my boyfriend currently, and we're on episode like 6 or 7, so it's like the middle of the show. There's a fight between two characters over a misunderstanding in a text message.
Oh my god.
That never got resolved, and that was so unsatisfying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I remember back to it, I feel like two couples, one being that one that you just mentioned and the fight. There were two couples that I feel like at the end of the show ended up exactly where they started. And those ended up being my least favorite because I was just frustrated that not only was there no closure, but it really felt like then there was no progression. And so it's like, why did we... Why? And they were two couples that were focused on pretty heavily. So that was like low payoff. Yeah, I agree.
And that sucks. I'm hoping there'll be a season 2, but I really have no idea how popular Tsurezure Children was. And typically, romance rom-com animes don't tend to get season 2s. But my husband, I can't understand what my husband is saying, got a season 2. So that's not always true. So I have some hope, but I feel like I'm just going to have to go read the manga.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Anything more to say about story, good old host?
Nope.
No. No!
Not that I can really think of, so...
Fuck do you mean no? Just kidding.
But we can talk about characters because there's plenty of them.
Much to some people's dismay, apparently.
So yeah.
Can I just say I love that the whole cast is like a rainbow? Like if you just get them all together, they're just like beautiful colors, very striking like color palettes on each of them.
It's a
very colorful, which completely unlike what a real Japanese high school would look like. But
good point.
It's how most anime is if you think about it.
So John, because you didn't have as much to say in story, I want to target you and ask you first maybe who your favorite character or characters were.
My favorite character was actually Chizuru, that was her name.
Is she the one with the pigtails?
Yeah, Takano Chizuru. She was the quiet one, who, like, she kind of, it took her a bit to realize that she had feelings for the guy, and, like, any time that he tried to make a move on her, she was just like, no, he must be talking about someone else. And he just must be something else because there's no way it can be someone as boring and dull as me. And I was just like, I relate to you so much.
She was so cute. And I think I already know the answer to this. Also, actually, if you guys are up for it, like however you want to say it, maybe we could also just mention vaguely like our favorite couples too. That might also be fun.
Yeah, because I will have to admit that was not my favorite couple in the series, but that was my favorite character. So
nice.
Who was your favorite couple?
Yeah.
Sorry.
My favorite couple was actually the
You can just describe what they look like. You don't have to say their names.
The redhead girl and the green-haired boy, the girl that liked to tease him a lot.
Oh, Minagawa and whatever his name was.
Yeah, I can't actually find him.
They were so cute.
Jun!
Jun and
Minagawa.
Minagawa.
Jun.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a pretty good segue into someone's favorite character, too.
Yeah, it is, isn't it, Cassie?
Yeah, totally, because I loved Minagawa. She was so fun. She was I wouldn't say manipulative, but definitely very, I don't know. She was the tease.
Mm-hmm.
She reminds me a lot of a character from a currently airing show called Takagi-san.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Takagi-san appeals to me so much, is because I love couples that tease each other, specifically when the girl is the one doing the teasing. In a same-sex relation, or not same-sex, I'm sorry, in a heterosexual relationship, I love when the girl is the one teasing. Obviously, when it's like a same-sex couple, I just want one of them to tease the other. But if you have like a heterosexual couple, I love when the girl's the one who's doing all the teasing. I have no idea why. It's just really, really fun.
I wonder why.
I feel
I
like
have no clue.
But Cassie, I feel like you also enjoy the kind of flustered tsundere boys as well. Like it goes on both sides of the reaction coin.
It really does. I love tsunderes. They're my favorite. And having and typically I'm more fond of female tsunderes because they just have more violent reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, that's of course a boy saying the wrong thing or teasing them. But there's just something about cute blushing boys and cute blushing tsunderes as well that's very fun. So I do love them a lot. I actually think that they're my favorite couple, or I call them the blue couple. But you've got the blue-haired girl. I can't remember her name.
Oh, yeah.
But the girl who loses her contacts, and then the boy who's just very derpy about understanding what she needs and wants.
Ayaka, and I can't find him on this list.
I'd almost call them the communication gap couple. Because each couple is kind of trying to get through something. For me, they just didn't know how to relationship really. They're just
But that was why it was so gratifying when they did, because it wasn't a constant misunderstanding, because I hate that. There's nothing I hate more than constant misunderstandings upon misunderstandings. Gamers. But I did love with that couple that if there was a miscommunication, it was almost resolved within that same skit.
Yeah.
And I think that
Goda, that's his name.
Goda, that was it. And so they were able to progress and get to know each other and do more things in their relationship. Simply because they were communicating, and in that regard, I felt like they were almost the realest couple in the show too, in my opinion. But so
they had some really cute moments together.
Yeah, but Cammy.
Oh yes, so my favorite character actually does not is not necessarily in one couple, or if he is a couple to all. And I'll be honest right now, I don't remember his name, but all you really need to know is he's Shiny Golden Senpai, also known as, Cassie, was it the Master of Dating?
Yes. He constantly...
Katori Shinichi.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh yeah, because there's the whole scene where she's like, tell me your name, and then he whispers it, and then it's his after image. This guy... This guy is the definition of one of my favorite qualities that I'm finding I really enjoy in anime boys now, and that's called being so extra. He's just fun to watch. He's hilarious, and every person that he runs into falls for his charm, even though he kind of tragically states that I don't know, he can't date or he'll never fall in love again for XYZ reason. He's left a mystery, and just whenever he was on screen, I was just so happy and excited because he was funny.
He also always came out of nowhere. He would just appear.
He also would disappear. I remember there was one conversation he was having with another boy in the
men's room as well.
And he was actually giving them advice about a girl, but during the entire time the boy was just heart flutters with everything he did and admiration. And then he turned around in the bathroom and he was gone.
Yeah.
Like, he might just not even be real. Like, I would not put it past the writers. But that is just what makes him so special, and I adore him, and I hope there's more of him in the manga. I actually do want to read it as well, like Cassie said.
Yeah.
My favorite couple ended up being the, how would I call it? Kind of like the quote-unquote delinquent girl and the student council president.
Yes.
I
They were
love
close
them
second place.
so much. They just, every time, like, their chemistry just, like, oozed, and I wanted to squeeze their heads and be like, now kiss! But then I also just, like, I loved, also the president was hilarious. I think if it wasn't for Mr. Golden Senpai, the president would also be one of my favorite characters, because he had such a, like, deadpan delivery, but, like, all of a sudden his, like, tone of voice or what he said would just, like, snap change, and I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? There's, like, just a scene where he, like, starts to unzip his pants, and I was like, what is happening? He just has, like, no change of expression. But yes, they are.
He's the kind of character you don't know when they're being serious or when they're joking, and it's glorious as a result.
Yeah, and it's that, like, she can't really, like, read him, but she, like, doesn't want to lead on a lot, and so she, like, falls for his charms, but then, like, they just have a really nice back and forth, and where it counted, you could tell that they really cared about each other. I actually really liked their last little skit. It was a good way to show progress for them, and they definitely ended up being my favorite couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved. They probably were my favorite in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Honorable mentions to the comedy duo couple, because they were hilarious.
Even if there was some bits where you wanted to smack their heads against each other.
Yep. One of them also has the best mom. I'm just gonna leave it at that. The best.
Oh my god. Honestly, those are probably my top 4 couples, actually. The ones that we mentioned, and then the comedy duo. And then the rest are okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, there's, like, it's just interesting. There are some characters where you're like, I don't know if you're going to be a couple, like, or not, which is interesting. You need a couple of those, I think, to keep you hooked. But yeah, I also would say, just backpedaling, Cassie, on what you said about the misunderstandings, it's that the couples that I ended up caring the least about were the ones that were founded that way, that were literally just misunderstanding.
And never got any resolve. Yeah, I feel the same. It's kind of like how, like, you can like a character, but you can't necessarily like their couple plotline. Like, there's an orange-haired boy who
what a sweetie.
who really just, he's such a good boy, and the girl he likes is just so oblivious, to the point it's almost not, like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel believable anymore. And that's where I got kind of annoyed with the show. Because a lot of it I really liked was that it felt believable. It felt like this was a real school and things that real high schoolers would do, with some wacky hijinks thrown in.
Yeah.
And then the characters I ended up not liking were the ones who were very unrealistically not talking to each other.
Yeah.
Or just not communicating. And it was like, well, this is kind of annoying. Let's move on to the next couple.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But to be fair, that's one of the things that Tsurezure Children has over other rom-coms, is if you don't like one couple, who cares? You get to watch another one in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's variety. The show had a lot of variety, which I think gave it a lot of levity and did make it, like, a nice watch.
Yeah, so you might end up liking... you might end up liking one of the couples that we didn't like.
That's true.
For all we know. So, our picks aren't necessarily be all end all best couples in the series. They're just the ones that we liked more.
And apparently there's, like, even more in the manga that, like, some people, I guess, were really anticipating. So that's pretty cool.
Honestly, I think that the best thing to keep in mind is that I wouldn't say I even disliked any of them. I just felt unresolved, or I didn't like as much.
Yeah.
As other couples. I can't say I disliked anybody in the show. I was just frustrated sometimes.
Yeah. And it was mostly just being frustrated at the writing.
Yeah, and maybe that resolve will come from reading the manga. I guess I'll find out. But you know what we haven't talked about? Why don't you tell us? Good ol' hoster
We
Rumi.
haven't talked about the production yet. So
Minus the pretty color palette.
Yes.
minus the pretty color palettes, but yeah, the art style of this series I think was actually pretty close to the original manga. So it's got a pretty distinct art style to it.
Yeah,
Even if
it's funny because I don't know if I would consider it like realistic looking, like especially in some of the hair designs, like you know, the way they draw like pigtailed girl, her hair's like chunks, you know. Um, but at the same time, like I think it makes sense for the format of the show being like from a 4-panel like comedy manga. And it was like pretty enough too in its own way. It was simple, but it was I thought it was fun.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing I was gonna say. I wouldn't say that it even has a distinct art style. It's very simple. It's very
Yeah.
simple, like shapes, and the animation is very minimal if you actually pay attention. But there's nothing wrong with that because of what kind of show it is.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I was offended by, but I'm not going to write home to my mom about the production value of animation in this show.
Yeah.
Like
No.
it's not anything impressive, but it is pretty. It's okay.
Yep.
It does what it needs to do.
What I think they did do well on, and I know we've talked about this, I think even with like daily lives of high school boys and stuff, is that it does well on the expressions. And that's, you know, very much what is needed in this kind of show. A lot of the reaction faces are really, really good.
Yeah.
And for a series with such a large cast, they did keep the cast distinct enough that you like once you've come to recognize a couple, you will see, okay, no, it's this couple. Even if you like haven't watched it in a bit and have maybe gotten a bit foggy on the details, I was able to look through this list of pictures and go, yeah, that was that couple. That was that couple.
Yeah. And again, the bright colors were also pretty distinguishable. I like that. And I mean, no, I wouldn't necessarily give as much compliment to the music. I mean, the music was just there, sound wise. And I particularly didn't really like remember or find the opening like super great. What do you guys think?
Honestly, it's okay.
Yeah.
But like I'm watching the show again, like I said, with my boyfriend, and now I have to watch the opening every time. just so we can stay at the same time marker. But I'm gonna be honest, when I watched this show weekly, I just skipped it. It was kind of boring.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like, I liked looking at the couples and being like, oh, look, they're all blushing at each other. That's great. Let's watch the show. And the song was okay. I don't know. Like, it's not what you watch the show for. It's not anything I'm gonna... If we played anime music quiz, I might recognize it.
Yeah. It would, honestly, if it played at the right time, there's a part where in the song she goes, Tsurezure demo, I wish. So I'd be like, there's the name of it. It's right there. That's how I'd recognize it, not by a memorable tune by any means.
Speaking of memorable tunes, I actually don't remember any of the music from this show either.
Yeah, no.
I can't even remember if there was music in the show. I'm pretty sure there was.
There must have been some like background jingle kind of thing going on.
I'm being sarcastic.
The only thing...
But yeah, it's...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just not very memorable. There's nothing in here that I care enough about.
Yeah, only thing...
That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. It's just, it does what it needs to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like, Cassie, like you said, that's also not really like what you come into the show for. Which was well said. The one thing I think on production that I can give shout outs to is the voice acting. Yeah, really well delivered lines. Great cast. I had fun figuring out like, hey, I recognize this Seiyu and this Seiyu from this. Like, it was actually a really like well lined up cast. You had a lot of like the famous ones in there, and then some that I didn't recognize, which was cool.
I'm actually kind of bummed that Craig didn't watch this show because now we can't get the dub take.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I didn't even know there was a dub. Now I want to check.
Yeah, it was a simul dub on Funimation.
Ooh, okay. Well,
bummer cast. But the Japanese voices were real good.
Yeah, they were very good. They definitely held the comedy and made it successful.
I wouldn't say that the production is the highlight of this show, is basically
Yeah.
what I think we're getting to.
Not really.
Like, I feel like if you talk about production on Tsurezure Children, it's like, yes, it was serviceable. Shrug.
It was produced.
It was.
It was made, and I am appreciative of that fact.
Nothing is glaringly bad, but nothing is like, oh, wow, this is Ancient Magus Bride.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, I don't know, what's another beautifully animated show that happened recently?
Sangatsu no Lion.
Oh, yeah, this is no Sankatsu no Lion. Please. Please.
Just imagine if those shows switched production values. That'd be a nightmare.
Can you imagine if Tsurezure Children had the same fucking production values as something like Sangatsu no Lion?
And it's all Shaft. That would be insane.
Can you imagine how much more extra your boy would be?
Oh my god, now I want it!
Now he's turning, but each time he turns and does an epic pose, it changes color.
They have to do the thing with, like, the 3 tilted faces, like, back to back with the shadows. Oh, he would get all of that. All that shaftiness.
God. Every time Minagawa teases June, there's shattering stained glass in the background.
Yes. And then, like, focusing on, like, a really, really close-up shot of her eyes and then her lips as she says something, because they love to do that. Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. Our anonymous viewer would, like, drop this show faster than she already did.
Speaking of that, we didn't drop it, but maybe... John, what should we do next?
So, on to ratings then, I guess. That was my hint with the pitchfork.
But you are leading this mecha, Captain, so feel
I'm
free
supposed to be
steer us.
leading, but people I'm not doing a very good job at leading this
You're
time.
doing
Doing
fine.
good.
Anywho, yeah, so, on to ratings. Obviously, it is a burn it. Nope.
Not yet.
I liked it. I really liked it. I'm not sure what else to say beyond that. I mean, I really enjoyed it, but not enough to really say I love it. But it is a good like it.
Nice.
Should I go next?
Sure.
You're the
Go
one who
ahead.
passed this show, so I feel like you get to have the honor of going last.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome, my darling. I think I'm with John on this one. It's a like it. To be honest, I do like this show a lot, and I think that's why I lean more to a like it than a check it. I definitely recommend people check this show out, and please get past the first couple of episodes and don't be too overwhelmed by the amount of characters. But, you know, if the comedy isn't your comedy, drop it. Just get out of there, because that's what it's going to be like the whole time. But, I mean, give yourself a chance. You might find a character that you really like in episode 3 or 4, or find that maybe a couple that maybe didn't appeal to you so much in episode 1 is suddenly your favorite by episode 6. It's a short too, so it's not like you're dedicating that much time to figuring out what you like and don't like. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that this show has to offer. And I think that definitely means that it deserves to have that praise. I put it over a check it simply because this is a show that I'm rewatching, and that shows that it has more of a like value than a check it value. And I'm enjoying rewatching it. So it has rewatch value. It's funny enough that the jokes hit twice and I'm still laughing. So,
Yeah.
I like it.
Awesome. I will just echo that statement and say this is another show where we have the same ratings across the board, because I also just want to give it a like it. It is a very fun show. Also, just on retrospect from that season, it was like I had a bad crop of shows that season, and this was one of the shining lights, one of the really good ones that I found. You know, it's a little show that just goes out to entertain you, give you some laughs, give you a little bit of feels, and I think it does that just right. There's not necessarily anything that I found outstanding, which is where it doesn't necessarily fall into a love it. Like when I really think, you know, when I thought back on shows from the year 2017, like I was like, well, I like Tsurezure Children. Is it like, you know, one of the super memorable ones? Maybe not, but it was a fun watch that I really enjoyed. I could even see myself rewatching it or check out the manga. So I would also like to give it a like it. unified scores
Yeah.
across the board.
I also feel like something I forgot to mention was one of the things that I feel like Cammie said earlier. One of the things that stinks is that when you get to the end of the episode and you wanted something to happen with a couple you like, and you're like, oh man, it's over and now I gotta wait.
Oh, so true.
We were watching it as it was airing.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have that issue if you watch it now.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a
So
good point.
that might even bring it down a little less for you than it did maybe me or Cammie or John, since we watched it when it was airing.
Mm-hmm.
But do be aware that some couples don't get that nice wrapped up pretty ribbon that some other couples do, which is unfortunate.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
who knows?
it's good.
Maybe the manga does, but in the anime, going by the anime, unfortunately not.
I gotta see if Tsurezure is on Bookwalker. I've been getting really into Bookwalker recently.
You'll have to, well, actually, I guess you don't have to show me how to use it. I need to find my iPad because I think it's in Portland, so I will look for that because then I'd be totally down for Bookwalker.
Yeah, I like that you can browse the Bookwalker store on the internet and do all the transactions there, and then go, hey, send this to my phone or my iPad or whatever that I'm reading things on, and you'll download it there.
Ooh, good news. Yeah, it has volumes 1 through 8 of the manga on Bookwalker.
That's incredible. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm probably gonna end up buying a good deal of these on my next paycheck. But yeah, we're totally
Same.
not sponsored because we're not good enough to be sponsored. But Bookwalker is a great resource for manga if you don't already know about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah,
Totally
hashtag
not an
not
ad.
sponsored. I'm just genuinely talking about a service that we really like.
I do love, though, how this show didn't necessarily get a love it, but it did end with us being like, yeah, legally buy it and like read it and consume it. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reflects really well on it. I think it's just that coming off a Princess Tutu hype train, I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Just can't. And I think that also helps me set a standard for next season, which is going to be good because we're going to have to weed through a lot of good and try and be like, well, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be fun.
Hmm.
A lot of the spring stuff is actually going to be starting in the next couple of weeks, too. So I'm very excited. April 8th, I believe, is when Persona 5 the animation starts.
Yes.
A nice, beautiful new trailer dropped, which I'm sure we'll talk about once the mics turn off, but...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of good production values. Whew.
Anywho, I think I best cut it off there because there's not really much for us to talk about in a spoiler room for
Mm-hmm.
Tsurezure Children.
Whew.
It's a good series to go watch. So you have a good recommendation from all three of us, and with that, I think this is where we should call it an episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Cassie's still in like the afterglow of the hot Persona 5 animation.
Well,
Love
that
it.
was one of the reasons why I was like, maybe we should close this up now. So yeah.
Oh, yes, to me, everyone.
All
Good
right.
night. Goodbye. Bye.
Good night.
Whew.